Okay, let's try this again. Sorry for the little glitchy. Yeah, as you can tell, I still suck at editing. Okay, where was it? I was having a hot flash. Getting the vapors. Between the pain and emotion. Yay. All right. This was the point where I discovered many miracles. When I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt I was divinely protected. I felt this not just because this all looked really scary, and so did I, still at that time, but because one key factor, my seatbelt. And I don't have my pictures here. They're on my Facebook thing. Maybe I'll put a link in there below. So my seatbelt. The driver's seatbelt in the truck had never worked from the time I bought it. The clasp was bent, so you could not stick the strap end, the little metal thingy, technical term, into it and make it click. The day of the accident, however, I had put my seatbelt on like it was habit, even though I had never done this in the 2 years I had owned the vehicle. As soon as I had done it, I thought it was weird. The piece only rested into the little clasp, but was not locked in. I just figured, since it's the law in Arizona, I had done it because, well, maybe there were going to be more cops out that day. I didn't think anything of it until that moment. Then a sense of warm calmness flooded my body. I was ready to see more. Inspecting the windshield, I could clearly make out my face imprint completely with patches of my hair embedded. It was like from here. Yeah, this is getting fun with my hair. This explained my broken face. My glasses had mashed into my nose. Didn't cut, it tore it. This explained, sorry. So the glasses had mashed in, creating a nice gash. My nose broke as it collided with the glass. The cut above my eye, now I got a dent right here. I'll do close-ups here in a second. I had a cut on the side of my nose as well, right at the corner of my eye. I thought initially that it was from my glasses. Maybe, you know those little rubber things that go on the nose piece, I thought one had come off and the wire had cut me. Nope. So let me show you. So let me zoom in. Sorry. You can probably see, I'm trying to see it in that thing. So right across here is the scar for where my glasses mashed in. And I still have a bump where my nose broke. The bridge is now like this instead of here. It's like that. So if you look at my eyebrow, I got a dent in the bone right here. There's a little scar, you can't really see it much anymore. The fun one, and I hope, makeup smearing. Here's one right here. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to get too close. See how my crazy pores. See, it's like right there, like right at my eye. And, here you can see the one across my nose. And we haven't gotten to it, but I've got a big scar here too, where I don't know what I hit, but it just peeled off there. Good times. Oh, sorry, I just kept. So anyway, like I said, I thought it was my glasses cutting me, but when I found my glasses, the little rubber pieces were intact. Just the earpieces were forward. Like I had said before, my glasses were intact. As I examined the windshield more closely, I could see my imprint. And compare the area of where the cut was. And now I could see what had caused it. The wiper arm. The wiper blades were long gone, and the metal arm was bent up and starting to come through the windshield, like right here. Sorry. I had a cut on the underside of my chin, which I figured out came from my face folding in. Oh, here we go. Folding in, and the glass slicing it. Because like I said, my face. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Overall, I was beginning to realize things were not that bad. Well, yes, they were, but it could have been so much worse. I now knew how lucky and blessed I truly was to have had a broken seatbelt. What, you may say? Well, that is the miracle of it all, seriously. And now I will tell you why. I had the seatbelt on. Had I had the seatbelt on and it functioned as it was designed to, I would have still broken my face, but on the steering wheel instead of the windshield. Plus, more than likely, would have lost my teeth, because that's where it would have impacted. My steering wheel was completely folded, bent. I would have still smashed my arms on the dash as the seat flew forward, and may even have broken both of them with straight-on impact. With the seatbelt in functioning mode, it would have yanked me backwards. You know how seatbelts pull. After the forward thrust, hooray, whiplash. And the back of my head would have sustained intense damage as it crashed through the back windshield, or worse. So in a little pickup, there was no space. It's like there was a little bit of a headrest, not much, and I could rest my head on the back window. Excuse me. If I had not had my seatbelt on at all, I would have ended up on the hood of the truck that hit me. then probably under the car that had ran up under me. That is after my skull would have been impaled by the windshield wiper arm. As I flew out of the shattered glass. To explain it in less graphic detail, I would not be talking to you right now. Freaky, right? Well, thank you to God and my angels that I put my seatbelt on and that it was defective like it was. Because my seatbelt was on but not clicked in, it saved me from much worse consequences. When the impact occurred, the seatbelt did its thing by retracting and pulling me back. But because it was not latched, as it yanked, it actually rolled me. So the impact was less. So though the impact was intense, it was nowhere near what it could have been. The pulling and rolling to the side towards the door did give me a couple extra knots on the side and back of my head and a nice bruise from the seatbelt shoulder. But I'm not complaining. I know I was extremely lucky and am tremendously grateful to be alive for whatever reason. Miraculous. Very. I was definitely here for a reason. No pressure, right? But for what? Well, that is up for debate. In the years that followed, my life and attitude continued to shift and transform. I also realized this was not the first life-changing incident I had, though. Or I had lived through, I'm sorry. This was not the first life-changing incident I had lived through. However, it was the most intense and the one that woke me up and made me take notice. In fact, I had many car accidents in my younger days. Signs I ignored. Looking back, I noticed that each time I was focused on another path. Even when my first instinct was to be somewhere else or doing something different, even contemplating with an entirely new perspective, an incident only about 4 years later, an event that may have actually been the beginning, or an event that happened 4 years earlier, an event that may have actually been the beginning of my thought shift or attitude adjustment. Yeah, wasn't the luckiest in driving. Interesting coinky-dink as we're talking. So my accident at this recording was 27 years ago. I was 27. 27 years later, I did my foot thing. So when we think about when obstacles get in our way, I know I'm digressing, sorry, but when things get in our way, and I've been thinking of taking another path, career path, doing, I guess, more of this maybe, more of the one-on-one work as opposed to the body work. And suddenly I'm doing all this body work and boom, still working, hobbling, but I'm working. Something about that 27. I'm gonna have to do a video on that. So anyway, going back to the previous incident. So I was driving home from work one cold, snowy Kentucky night. I was tired and angry at the fact that the guy I was seeing at the time had left one of his shady friends alone in my home with my dog. The agreement that the guy and I had when he gave me the dog was that the puppy would never be left alone until he was completely house trained. And since he and I had slightly overlapping work schedules, the puppy would only be left alone for an hour or so at most. I would be home by or before 2 a.m. and he would have to leave for work by or before 2 to be at work on time. Well, this evening he had been asked to cover for someone else who had to leave early. I had called to tell him I was on my way and to see if I would get to see him before he left, and he told me he had been at work for 2 hours already. What? He then tells me his friend, my least favorite person at the time, agreed to watch the pup for me. I was furious. I wanted that person out of my house and away from my furry baby. I'm getting ready, time cut off here. I was determined to get there as soon as I could. However, the universe had another idea. Snow was coming down, but visibility was great, except for what could not be seen. The ice on the highway was always there. That's one of the downsides of the area there. Lots of ice. Lots of black ice in Kentucky. Gotta love it. Where was it? Okay, sorry. Squirrel. And this is interesting too. Traffic was crazy, bumper to bumper, crawling at a snail's pace. This was highly unusual. In all the years I had worked there and driven the highway, there was never traffic that late at night, early morning, like 1:30 in the morning. In fact, if I saw more than 10 or 15 vehicles the entire 25-minute drive, I would have been shocked. That night, they seemed to go on the entire stretch of the highway, miles and miles. Every time a space opened up in the other of the two lanes, I would floor it and whip over. Then of course, that lane would stop, of course, and the one I just left would start moving forward. When I saw another opening, over I would go. Even with the occasional fishtail slide, I was determined. Finally, at one point, an opening in the inside lane appeared again. At first I thought, why even bother? But then I gunned it to jump in. That is when the fun began. As I was whipping into the lane, I hit another patch of ice and began to spin. My first thought was that I would skid through the median and into oncoming traffic on the other side of the road. I closed my eyes tightly and braced for impact. Then I thought, all of this in a split second, mind you. Okay, if I'm gonna die, I wanna see it happen. It's my thinking. So I opened my eyes, and as my car was spinning, I saw tail lights, headlights, tail lights, headlights, tail lights, headlights. I was just kind of writing it out when I noticed that with each rotation, the other vehicles seemed to be further and farther away. It was like room was being made for my car to spin. So I spun 3 times. And that I remember, because like I said, taillights, headlights. Again, I expected to shoot off into the other side of the highway since I was in the middle lane. That I did not want to see. So once again, I closed my eyes. Then I felt what I thought was my car airborne, heading across the median. It felt like my car lifted off the ground. Then there was a flash of blue light, through my eyelids and a dull thud. I was motionless, and so was the car. I opened my eyes and saw nothing in front of me. I glanced up in my rearview mirror and could see the highway, packed with cars, bumper to bumper. I was on the side of the road in a snowbank. Snow covered my entire view out the windshield. Even though only 1, maybe 2 seconds before, I had been on the inside lane, spinning, there were no gaps in the traffic. As slow as everyone was moving, with the space I would have needed to spin through both lanes. There was no logical way there would not have still been a space where I had come through. I was shaking, and sweating. But I was no longer angry, no longer frustrated. I took my time getting back on the road and drove slowly. Within 5 minutes, there seemed to be so much less traffic. Odd. Once I got home, I was so grateful to have made it safely and that my puppy was safe that I was actually happy to see the guy that I'd never really liked. My whole outlook was different. Since that night, I have not reacted to anything with that level of rage. Of course, I still get angry and frustrated at times, but I no longer fume to that level. Ever. Yeah, the worst I do now is when I'm tired or in pain. Like my poor little puppy after my foot injury. He's in the way of the scooter, so I gotta yell, and I get frustrated because it's like, get out of the way. But that's about it. Now my husband might tell you it's different, but on to the next one.